reports and rumors that Ben Simmons is not picking up phone calls from the team, not picking up phone calls from his teammates, and there's certain places he does want to go, certain places he doesn't want to go. What do you see with the future of his relationship with the 76ers?
So first and foremost, we got to understand something. He flamed out in the playoffs this year and was invisible in the fourth quarter. And so therefore, as a competitor, there's some pain there. And then when your team loses, and obviously Doc goes to the podium, Joel goes to the podium, the fans are booing and jeering, and rightfully so. They're all NBA caliber performer, didn't show up. And then the process starts to look like it's over. Because I saw the Toronto Raptors win the East and win the championship. You see that? I saw the Miami Heat win the East. I just saw the Milwaukee Bucks win the East and win the championship. I don't believe they're getting closer to winning the East, even though they had the number one seed last year. Let me tell you the ways. The Nets are going to be healthy this year, right? The Bucks are coming off the championship. The Miami Heat have retooled their squad. So now all of a sudden they're amongst that group of, I guess, 4, 5 to 6, 7 jockeying for position in the East. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Sixers play this, because you want to get an all-star level player in return for a great player. And I'm calling Ben Simmons a great player. Like Ben Simmons, he just can't be your primary ball handler and point guard in the half court if he's not going to take shots outside of the paint. That still doesn't mean he's not an incredible talent that I wouldn't want on my squad. But are you going to get fair value in return? I don't think they are at this point. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Jalen, I've always loved Ben Simmons' game. I love defenders and I love passers, and he is great at both. Let's not forget, he was second in Defensive Player of the Year voting, number 2. So he's basically the second best defender in the entire league. Yet all of a sudden, it's all individually his fault that they lose to the Hawks. Like, I think that this Ben Simmons slander has gotten out of control, and I think whatever team gets him, acquires him, incorporates him into a different system. I don't want to see the Embiid Simmons movie again. I've seen that movie a few times. We all know how it ends. I want to see Simmons on a new team with different pieces around him, different coach, different philosophy, and I think that he will flourish on both ends of the floor. On both ends of the floor. I want to see this happen. I want to see this happen.
But there have been a lot of dominoes each year they lost. So Hinkie, then Brett Brown, then Jimmy Butler. You bring in Morey, you bring in Doc. Now you trade Ben Simmons. So again, they're not getting closer toward winning the East. It's going to be interesting because they do have some really good pieces, but the East has just gotten better.
Well, it will be drama. If he plays game 1 in the regular season, there'll be so much of a media microscope around them and his behavior and his performance that there will be drama. Is there some drama in Philadelphia, nothing to do with Ben Simmons? Is there some drama surrounding a Jalen? Your name's?
That's what he did. And let me be very, very clear to speak to the greatness of Steph Curry. He signed for $215 million over 4 years, averaging $53.75 million per year. And no one on the planet blinked. Because we all know he deserved those damn dollars. He's Steph Curry. He is the greatest shooter that God ever created. It is that simple. And if anybody deserves this money, it is him. He is a sniper extraordinaire, the most elite sniper the game has ever seen. And he is absolute box office because unlike some people like Kawhi Leonard, he actually markets and promotes the brand he represents as well as the league. And so when I look at it from that perspective, and I think about what they had to go through the last 2 years without Klay Thompson. Been 2 years. Now, I know last season was truncated because of COVID-19, and we get all of that. But the last 2 seasons, the Golden State Warriors have not had the services of Klay Thompson. And if I'm Steph Curry, who went to 5 consecutive NBA finals, who won 3 championships in that period of time, and I had to suffer what I had to suffer through the last 2 years, the only person hungrier than me or just as hungry as me might be Draymond Green. That's about it. They can't wait for Klay to come back. Klay can't wait to come back. And Klay, one of the top 5 shooters in basketball history, and a Hall of Famer already. The opportunity that Steph is looking at for them to reunite, with everybody talking about the Lakers and the Clippers and all and Phoenix and all of this other stuff. Lord have mercy. Look out for the Golden State Warriors. They are coming.
Steph Curry, I'm going to need a lower third for him pretty soon, the way you have it for LeBron, Stephen A., because I'm accused of being a lower third. I'm going to need one for Steph when I talk about him, the way you need one for LeBron. Great family man, philanthropist, et cetera, et cetera. Because I'm accused of being a Steph Curry hater. One of my favorite players in any sport ever to watch, a miraculous player to put your eyes on. I point out that something like in overtime, in a win-or-go-home game this season, it's not just that they lost. He scored 0 points. I just pointed that out. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. He's a great player. But I point that out.
I just think it's important, Max, that you remind people at the time you had more hair, no crew cut on the side, and you didn't have any facial hair. That's the last time that's when that was going on with Steph Curry. I just want to let the world know that.
No. I mean this season. This season when they made the play-in game.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
The reason that doesn't even occur to you because it wasn't reported. No one noticed it. But in overtime, in a win-or-go-home game, this season, he scored 0 points. And no one bats an eye. Could you imagine if that was LeBron James, who scored 0 points in overtime of a win-or-go-home game? We would be killing him. And that's because LeBron is compared to the GOAT, Michael Jordan. He is playing against a ghost for the title of greatest of all time. He's running out of time. He's getting up there in age. He has a super team around him, even though it's imperfect parts, but it's still super talented. You always bring up, if I say, hey, could Steph ever be the greatest player ever? You talk about his height, and you'd be right. He's 6'3". He's the greatest 6'3" or under player ever. But because he's 6'3", he ain't ever going to be the greatest player who ever lived. Right? He's already reached the mountaintop of what he's capable of doing in terms of his own legacy that way.
We thought that coming into last year. And look at what he did last year.
Because he's great. He was as good as he's ever been. And he's great. But he is not challenging MJ. That's what LeBron's up against. He does not have 6 championships. He does have a super team around him. No excuses. He is LeBron James. He's facing the most pressure, like we were just talking about, and he's got to be the most motivated.
I'm going to say something to you, Max Kellerman. I think you need to buckle your seatbelt for what I'm about to say, because it's really true. You're right. Steph doesn't compare to MJ. Size and height has something to do with it. His lack of defensive prowess has a lot to do with it, because he certainly was not even close to the defender that Michael Jordan did. But offensively, I can make a conversation that Steph Curry is in the conversation of MJ. We have never seen a shooter this phenomenal. Ever. And let's understand. And see, he didn't have the aerial assault. He didn't have the aerial arsenal that Michael Jordan had. Couldn't finish at the basket the way Michael Jordan could or whatever. Steph Curry, we usually see offensive players, Max, and with the exception of a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain that's over 7 feet tall and dominant because of their height and size, and the skyhook, of course, we usually look at guys, and there's not a single player that we look at and we say Michael Jordan couldn't do that. We didn't see LeBron. We don't see LeBron. We didn't see Kobe, Vince Carter, or anybody else do anything that we felt Michael Jordan couldn't do offensively. Michael Jordan couldn't shoot like that.
Well, if you want to say...
Nobody could shoot like that.
No doubt. If you want to say foot for foot, Steph is the best offensive player ever, fine. But you know what else Michael Jordan couldn't do?
I'm not saying he's the best. I'm just saying that as an offensive talent, because of Steph Curry's marksman ability, because of his ability to just shoot with his eyes closed. We made a big deal about what Michael Jordan did at the free throw line, closing his eyes.